if you insist that your currency should become the reserve currency of every country, then what are you propagating? You are propagating the idea that everyone, whatever net wealth a nation has, should be converted into US dollars and placed in a bank in New York, right? The idea, the benefit to the United States is that they will just get enormous amount of money from everywhere in their banks. Okay, so far so good. But that does not mean that you stop working yourself. That does not mean that you should stop living on borrowed money.
Money on hope.
In 2004, the head of the purchase department of this great chain of stores, Walmart, he was in Karachi, and they were setting up a joint venture in Karachi with one of our customers at that time. And that customer of mine insisted that I should join them at lunch. So I joined them at lunch, and as early as 2004, this gentleman who was the head of purchase of Walmart, he said, you know, Mr. Shahid, I don't know where we are heading because we have virtually uprooted the textile industry in the United States. And I said, how did you do that? And he said, you see, we have virtually wiped out 400 textile mills. And at first we thought that we should shift them to Mexico because that's where labor is cheap. So they were all disassembled, transferred to Mexico. And for 2 years they ran all right, they started making money. And then the computer hardware manufacturers arrived in Mexico.
Okay.
He says that the textile mills, the American textile mills that were shifted to Mexico were offering the employees 75 cents an hour. But then these computer guys came and they said, we'll offer you $1.25 an hour. As a result of which, in the next 2 years, the labor shifted from this textile sector to the computer hardware sector. As a consequence, again, those factories became dormant. And then he said that after that, there was no way of reviving that business. And then thereafter, these businessmen from Thailand, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, they started coming and they bought those factories at the price of scrap. They disassembled them and they took them to their respective countries. You see, this is what happens.
Here I will a little bit intervene, sir, that you see, while visiting Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, I have seen that at least people get to eat. This society still has got that values of feeding have-nots.
Yes.
But unfortunately now, when America is very busy around the globe handling its dadagiri, which we call in Bangla, its hegemonic role, what Noam Chomsky also
That expression is very much in use in Urdu. It's the common expression.
So, keeping people hungry, jobless at home, why are they so keen to solve problems around the globe?
The idea, I think, is which was propagated by the neoconservatives, was that you just don't have to worry about yourself. All you need is grab the resources of the third world countries, which are resource-rich countries, and enjoy, because you have the gun. So the gun is the thing that can make everyone surrender to your wishes.
Yes.
And then after that, everything belongs to you. You see what was happening? Colonization came to an end somewhere about the beginning of the 20th century. And in the next 60, 70 years, in fact, let's say 80 years maybe, the wealth that had been accumulated by the European countries and the United States through this process of colonization, that wealth has been consumed. Now the problem is that except for the United States, most of Europe, especially the western part, does not have the kind of natural resources that is required, especially the ones that fuel energy. So there is this problem now that unless and until they recolonize, the problem will not be solved. And that is why, if you recall, that on the 3rd of October 2007, retired General Wellesley Clark made a long speech in the Commonwealth Club in California. And in that club, he came out with something which was absolutely astonishing. He said that he visited the Pentagon after 9/11. And during that meeting that he had with one of the old staffers that he knew, he came to know about a memo that was prepared by the National Intelligence Council of the CIA. And that memo said that between 2005 and 2012, the United States will invade 7 Middle Eastern countries. Now, according to Clark, he says, I was absolutely shocked that what are we going to do, because he, is the veteran of the first Iraq war, and he knows what a war is because he's a general. So he was thoroughly disgusted by this idea that this is what the Americans are planning to do. Now, as you can see, between 2005 and 2007, 12, things have been moving, and Libya is now very much subdued. In fact, on the point of now breaking down, because if you read the latest news, it's going to break down. Syria is next, Lebanon is on the line, Somalia is on the line, Iraq obviously has been taken
But
care
there's
of.
a tension between Iran and America.
Yes, a couple of days ago I heard a great Foreign Secretary of the United States, Secretary of Foreign Affairs as they say,